Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your game, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another edition of the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am Rob, and I'm here with the one and only Mr. Alex. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
Not too bad, man. It's hump day. We're halfway through the week.
Almost there. We got some football tomorrow. I cannot wait.
Right.
How do your teams do this weekend? How was the whole weekend? You know, the Pats. Hey, they played better than I thought they were going to play.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is going to be fine. Bill O'Brien is going to be fine. It's going to take a little bit. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get the game rolling. You know, wide receiver still a question mark. So
Albert. Yeah, but hey, the rookie looked pretty decent, right? Kendrick Bourne.
The rookie or Booty?
Booty, I'm sorry.
Booty. Yeah. Booty looked okay, but he had two mistakes. Both of them, he only got 1 foot in.
That happened.
So he's got to remind himself, like, hey, buddy, it's not college football. You got to tip-tap both those babies in there.
It'll take a little time, but hey, I'll tell you, the defense played well. You held that Philly offense to 25 points.
It's a rain game, too. So
yeah, I'm excited. If I was you, I'd be excited for
what they didn't look as bad as I thought they would. But
we got a fun episode for you guys today. We're doing a waiver wire recap, buy, sell, trade, some trades that we're talking about for redraft. And then we're going to do the good, the bad, the ugly. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Mario and Norton did that yesterday, and it looked fun. So I was a little jealous. I wanted to throw that in here for tonight. But we are going to get started with some news for the day. Let's get into it. Gainwell is ruled out for tomorrow. He's probably a big waiver wire pickup for a lot of people. I know I snagged him in a couple leagues. I knew he was hurt, so I wasn't anticipating plugging him in this week. What's your kind of outlook for tomorrow? Who do you think is going to be that guy? I know Swift is there, but do you think Penny's going to get any love?
Yeah, I think it'll be mainly Swift. You had to put that on the screen.
I had to.
This guy's got to be a Browns fan.
He is. He's my old college roommate. So
okay.
Shout out Joey Ward. What's up, buddy?
You guys used to share your tissues while watching every season the Browns has had. I get
we did. We held hands a lot during college, just for the Browns.
Got to hold something. It's not going to be a trophy, right? You know? Yeah, I think it's going to be Swift's going to get, an opportunity. I think Penny obviously gets activated. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't understand the Penny situation. I don't know why they signed him. I don't get it.
I don't either. It's weird. I agree with you. It's a weird situation, but man, if he doesn't play tomorrow, like, what was the point of the whole?
It's got to be the injury thing, like, still lingering.
Maybe he just doesn't have the burst anymore. I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know, but we'll see. A lot of people missed practice today. Devonta Adams with an ankle. Hopkins, Mostert. Christian Watson's out again. Austin Eckler. Darren Waller. Aaron Jones. So we had a lot of people miss practice today. Something to monitor. There's going to be a lot of game time decisions. So it might be a tough week. Any of those guys jump out to you?
No, I mean, Waller's been injured for half a decade. Mostert has never been healthy. Eckler, a little bit. But like Adams and Hopkins, I feel like that's Adams last year. Was listed injured literally like 16 weeks last year. And I think Watson, it seems like he's getting over something, but Waller's the one I'm really concerned about because it's that, they're saying it's a possible nerve issue.
That's a hot button. I feel like that's a hot topic on Twitter now after the whole cup thing. They're talking nerve and all this sort of stuff, but that's a hamstring pull that tends to go with the nerve, the sciatic nerve that goes down the hamstring.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
He was dealing with it last week. He played in the rain. He played the whole game. Didn't come out. So I'm not too worried about it. But Aaron Jones is the one I'm worried about. He's the guy that, he had a great game and then got limp with that touchdown reception and didn't come back. So we'll monitor that. AJ Dillon didn't look good in absence. So I don't know. Tough backfield. Kelsey is back. He was limited today. So all things looking good for him to play this week. I'm excited to get him back in one of my lineups. Help me win my championship again because he is a monster. And then Mark Andrews is back as well. Again, I think he was limited, but all signs pointing that he will play. Do you think, we know Lamar had a rough game. How much can this help him out? Do you think it's more of a, getting a new coordinator in there? Or do you think it was Mark Andrews not being there?
I think it's a mixture. I think a coordinator is a big part of it where they're going to try to change the offense a little bit more. I think they plan to throw the ball more, which isn't really what fantasy owners want to hear. Because even with him, if you're throwing the ball more, let's be honest, he's not going to be as efficient. I think Andrews does help it. I think he plays fine, but the coordinator situation does kind of worry me a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's going to take this offense a little time to figure it out, especially now.
If they figure
J.K.
it out.
Dobbins going down with the Achilles, he's not there. So who are they running out? Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. They're bringing up Melvin Gordon from the practice squad. Are they going to sign another vet like Lenny? And then, they just got to kind of piece it together on the fly, which is not good to start the season. It sucks.
No.
Let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Alex, give me a good. So these are players from our rankings that over the season kind of, players we hit on, players that didn't look as good as we thought, and then some guys are ready to punt on already.
Yeah, you want me to start with the good?
Give me a good. Yeah, start it off with the good.
So Nico Collins, he's one of my must-haves this year, especially where you're getting value in drafts or even now. He was a waiver wire pickup. He's looking like he's going to be Stroud's guy. That's what it looked like in camp. Even with, when Minchie comes back healthy, I think Nico, it's only going to help him. They have really good chemistry. He just moves so well for being a big receiver. It's just, I think he's going to be a good flex for probably the rest of the year.
You have been beating that drum all off season, so I will give you credit. I want to say I was up there with. I liked him a lot, but I don't know if I don't think I ranked him as high as I should have. But I do have a ton of Nico Collins shares because I just thought the value where he was going was too good. I'll go with one of my good guys, Travis Etienne. I was getting destroyed in the offseason by Mario and Norton, especially. They were coming at me hard. He finished this weekend at RB6. All the talk of Tank Bigsby coming in and, he's going to eat into that work and the goal line work. And Etienne outsnapped him 56-15. He had 18 rushes, 5 targets, a touchdown. He looked great. They were getting him involved in the pass game, which is what I wanted to see. I am all in on him this season. I think he has the potential to finish as a top 10 back if it keeps going this way.
For sure.
And also, I'll throw out an honorable mention in there. My dude, Luke Musgrave. I have to. He looked great. He was a stumble and an overthrow away from a massive, massive game.
Yeah.
So he's going to be good. I'm super excited for him this season.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, you know. Alex, hit me with the bad.
This is another one of my ride or dies throughout the whole offseason was Khalil Herbert. And the issue with it is the team's going to be so bad and they're not going to know what to do with any of the running backs to where they're just going to rotate them all out and try to figure out what works. Roshan looked solid. It wasn't like he looked amazing. Khalil, obviously didn't get enough touches. I would, you're obviously not selling him because it's not looking great, but that offense is looking bad. It's looking like it's going to be a really tough time. I don't want to hear about the Justin Fields talks. Did you see him make a couple throws? Congrats. He made 2 really good throws. The rest of them weren't great, and their big money spender, DJ Moore, it didn't help the offense at all.
No, I mean we could. I want to talk about it, but we have so much to get to and stuff like that. But I genuinely think the coaching staff there is lost. They don't know what the hell they're doing. It's a joke. They're talking about taking Claypool off the active roster because he just wasn't blocking. It's a mess.
He wasn't running. I mean, he was just doing this,
I mean, it was
motion.
Yeah, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good there. It sucks because you know how much I love DJ Moore and Justin Fields, and I have a ton of both of them on teams. So not looking great unless they flip the switch like they did last season. But that was pretty much Justin Fields just running around
that's all it was.
To save his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is exactly right, Tiff. He didn't want to be there. It looks like he doesn't want to be there.
No.
And he might not be there too much longer.
He can come to the Patriots.
Yeah, so you could take him. I'll give you my bad, which is Christian Kirk. A terrible day, 3 targets. Now, normally, week 1, I'm not overreacting to stuff like this. Sometimes, game script dependent. They're playing Indy, and it was a close game, but normally I don't get too worried about it. But it was the usage and how it was going for this offense as a whole. Now Calvin Ridley looked awesome,
right?
Which is I was okay if that happened because if I had Christian Kirk, I was okay with Calvin Ridley being really good because I still think there's room for 2 people in this offense. The issue that I had was Zay Jones outsnapped him 62-42. Kirk is basically relegated to that slot receiver now. He's wide receiver 3 in this offense. Zay Jones is going to be that guy on the other side. He's the one I want to have in this offense, which is we're going to get to him later. But it doesn't look good for Christian Kirk this season. I'll tell you, I'm very, very nervous unless something changes quick.
Yeah, I get it. I think I'd give it a few weeks to see what pans out, but it doesn't look great.
Yeah, not great. Give me your ugly of the week.
T. Higgins. And the main reason for that is you're expecting the Bengals to put up a lot of points against the Browns since the Browns looked like crap last year, especially on D. And, with a healthy T, you're expecting targets and some red zone throws. And the Bengals look bad. I think they fix it. But with T, you're going to have a few of those games where he's just going to give you goose eggs, straight doo-doo sandwiches.
Yeah. We're going to get more into T later. He's one of my guys we're going to talk about.
I know.
But I'll tell you, man, I was getting called crazy for picking up the Browns defense in all the dynasty leagues. I was getting called crazy. I'm a homer, but I'm telling you, this Browns defense is no joke. Getting a legit coach in there that with some talent on the defense, bringing in new people. I think that the defense is a legit force this season. I'm excited to see what they can do. My ugly, it's not just for the week. It's for the season. This is a guy that if I can ship him off, I'm shipping him off. Tiff brought him up. Mr. Drake London. What the hell, dude? What are we doing? When Tyler Algier out targets you, it's not good. Arthur Smith doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, I guess he knows what he's doing because he won the game. But we talked about this off air. I don't see any changes coming down the pipeline anytime soon. I think it's going to be 30 rushes, 18 targets, and a bunch of screens. So that leaves maybe 10 targets for the rest of the team. The running backs out-targeted the receivers and tight ends in this game. And I think that's what you're going to see moving forward. And if that's the case, like Drake London's going to get, he got 1 target this week. Like, in what world does Drake London get out-targeted by a 4th-round, second-year running back? I don't get it. You spent the draft capital on him and Pitts, and you're just going to throw the ball to him 2 times, 3. So they're glorified run blockers. That's what we're doing with this offense.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of game script to go with that. And
hit my DMs, Willie.
I'm not ready to bail on Drake or Pitts yet. But that division's bad, and if this is going to just turn into them just pounding the ball all the time,
the ball pounders, yeah,
they just don't want to. They don't want to let. They don't want to let Ritter decide games.
They don't. It's clear what there's a clear disconnect from the GM and the coaching staff. If you want my personal opinion, you're not spending 1st-round picks on a tight end, not just 1st-round picks, top 10 picks.
Yeah.
You're not spending top 10 picks on a pass-catching tight end with the profile we haven't seen ever, and Drake London as the number 1 wide receiver off the board. And you're just not going to throw the ball to these guys. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I hate it for fantasy football. I get what the Falcons are trying to do because, you know,
they want to win games.
They won. I get it. That if it works, like, don't stop doing what you're doing. But what?
You know what it kind of reminds me of is,
gets me so mad,
when Saban was in there and they had, Julio.
Right? The quarterback had more catches than a top 10 wide receiver. Like,
I think it's going to take time, but I still don't love Pitts or London's ceiling going forward. Sucks. I was really high on Pitts.
No,
but it reminds me of like what Saban did early on at Alabama, where before he got the QB talent, like they had Julio Jones, and Julio Jones was getting like 650 yards this season.
Dude, the best thing that can happen
to
the Falcons. Best thing that can happen to the Falcons is they lose the rest of the season.
Yes.
Arthur Smith gets fired and they take a top quarterback. That's the best case scenario for this.
It's not going to happen. The defense is too good. And if they keep running like that, they'll probably win 8 games.
I hope it happens because I have too many Drake London shares in Dynasty.
Sorry, pal.
Sucks to suck, I guess. Let's get into some waiver wire finds, I guess, recap. We're going to talk about the recap. Alex, give me a guy that you were actively going for yesterday in your waivers. Did you get him, and what did you give up to get him?
Yeah. So in most, obviously in Dynasty, it's a little different. Most of those guys are picked up. But in my redrafts, I went hard for Josh Kelly. I know there was a couple guys that they, listed possibly higher because he still is backing Eckler up. But it's like a situation. I would consider this a better situation for Josh Kelly than it is for Algier. I think if they're going to be on a better offense. Kellen Moore, everybody's expecting him for Herbert to throw for like 5,200 yards, and the dude loves to pass, and I'm like, that dude loved to get running backs involved.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like the whole offseason, the hype was Kellen Moore's coming over. We're going to throw the ball 700 times. I don't know, man. I think so there's two things that are going through my head with the game that I saw, Chargers Dolphins. It's either one, that's the offense that we're going to see. Kellen Moore is he likes to run the ball, and it's not as pass happy as we thought it was going to be.
It's not
Or two, the Dolphins offense is so explosive and they were so good in that game that they just wanted to keep that offense off the field. Like those are the two options, and this game's going to show a lot. The second week's going to show a ton of what the Chargers offense is going to try to do. It could be a little different too if Eckler's out, but
right. I will say
it's weird.
They did at the end of the last season. The coaches talked about, we have to make a valiant effort of getting Josh Kelly involved more in the game.
Yeah, he's good. I mean,
he's good. They drafted him good. He was good in college, but it was just Eckler just became a freak of nature. So that chance just really wasn't there. It took him Kelly a little bit to mature as a runner, but he looked really good.
Yeah, he did. And,
so I gave up, and one more redraft. I have $100 waiver. I spent 60.
It's a good chunk of change, I'll tell you. That's a good. You like him. Tiff got Justice Hill on the waivers. I got him in a few spots as well. I had, again, unfortunately, I had a bunch of JK this year. Just where he was going in the draft, I thought it was great value. I thought another year off the ACL, he'll come back, it'll look good, and sucks. But I like. Let me ask you this, Alex: do you like Gus Edwards more or Justice Hill?
Gus Edwards.
Okay.
Gus Edwards is the power back. The Ravens are going to use.
I'm excited. This is another one. I'm excited to see how this shakes out this week for Baltimore, because there was a ton of camp hype around Justice Hill, saying that they liked him over Gus Edwards. But I guess we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Last week, you couldn't really tell last week too, because they were up. They were up 24-3 or some shit. Like it was tough to tell how they were going to use these running backs.
Sure.
So we'll see kind of how it pans out this week. But definitely, I think Justice Hill is worth a stash just to see kind of how it plays itself out. And then my waiver wire guy that I was going hard for this week was talked about him a little bit earlier, Zay Jones. Now, from what I saw, he wasn't available in too many leagues, but in a good chunk of mine, he was available. I would say over half of my leagues, he was available. So I put in a claim for 25% of my fab in those leagues. I thought it was a good spot. And I think Zay's going to be that number 2 in this offense from what I saw in week 1. And if that's how it's going to be, he can be an easy flex the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be a weird offense going forward.
It is. It's not what
outside of Ridley and ETN, it's going to be weird.
It's not what I expected.
No.
But we'll see. We'll see how it pans itself out. They didn't look in sync this week, though.
Right.
Like, I want to see them get going, and then we'll see how this offense is really going to roll. But, yeah, not my ideal start for the Jags, because I'm super high on them this year. Alex, what is your, while we're talking waiver wires, what's kind of your approach to it? Like, do you like going hard earlier in the season for people? Do you just play it off of injuries? Like, how do you really go about doing it?
I typically don't go super hard early on, but there's situations with like Tyler Algier where it's like you're seeing what this offense is doing. If he's available, you want to pick him up because they're going to utilize him. And if there's an injury to Bijan, he's going to put up numbers. He's going to get touches. And it's the same thing with Joshua Kelly. Chargers are going to be probably more than likely a top 10 offense. Eckler has been a top 3 fantasy running back for the last 4 or 5 years. And Kelly looked really well to where he's there's a good chance he's going to be a flex option going forward. And if Eckler ever sits, that's a guy who can get you a top 10 week.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that.
So you have to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Like week 1 for me is big because you see how the offense is going to play itself out. Like that's why I went for Zay Jones, because I saw this offense and it wasn't what I was expecting. So when that's the case for offenses like you said, Tyler Algier, Zay Jones, those players that you know they're good, but you don't think they're going to be involved as much as they were in week 1. Like those are the players I'm going to go try to get. And then later in the season, I'm kind of basing it off of injuries and stuff like that. Because I think after week 1, you really know what's going on with these offenses. I don't love to give as like a ton of fab up, but if it's someone I think's worth it, I'm going to go do it. And then I also, the next day, like after waivers clear, like today, waivers cleared this morning. I go on my phone and I see who was dropped. A lot of especially week 1, week 2, though, there's players that get dropped that are going to be league winners. So I'm always looking.
I picked up James Conner. He was dropped first 4 weeks. This is 2 years ago for the Cards. It was first season. And then from week 6 on, he was like RB5.
Yeah. Like players get dropped all the time for one bad game. And for example,
don't over exaggerate.
Yeah. For example, Cam Akers was dropped in one of my leagues. Now, am I rushing to go get him? No, but I'm thinking about it. It's a small bench league where I get it. But again, we didn't like what we saw. But would it surprise you if in 6 weeks he's the lead back and he's a top 24 back?
No, it can happen.
Yeah.
He looked
That's what I'm saying.
But it could happen.
I get it, but those players that were 7th, 8th round picks in your draft are getting dropped, where now you can drop your 14th round pick who maybe didn't even play, maybe didn't even get on the field. Like, take a flyer on one of those players and just see what you can do. Like that's kind of how every Thursday I go on and see who was dropped and if they're worth picking up on my team. I think that's one of my major things that I do year in and year out, that I don't know if everyone does it, but you should if you don't. And then let's get into our buy, sell, trades. Alex, give me a player that you are actively trying to go trade for. And if you have an idea of what you're willing to, it's weird with redraft leagues. There's really no rhyme or reason on valuing like the value of what a trade is going to go for, especially week 1. Like, you have to text the player or text the other guy and be like, hey man, what are you willing to give up? What do you want for this guy? Stuff like that. That's kind of how I feel it out. But give me a guy and let me know what you're thinking about giving up.
Tony Pollard. I think it's literally just going to get better for him.
Yeah.
I think it would not surprise me if he finished RB1 this season. Has a Josh Jacobs type year.
This is a great question.
I'll address that. Are you guys selling high on Brandon Ayuk? If it were me coming from my side, 100% I would. There's a lot of people who think you could get a lot for him.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Like, what can you get for him? I think in the right scenario, yeah, hell yeah. I think this is the highest.
Everything's a scenario thing.
Yeah, I agree, but this is probably unless he just has a season that blows us out of the water, which he could because he's shown it, right? He's shown it. Can he put a full season together is the question. I don't know. If you can get a top tier wide receiver for him, I think it's worth doing it. Like, if you can,
Ayuk, I mean, you could get a couple players for him, and that's like kind of looking at the Tony Pollard situation, to where it's like, hey, if you drafted well at receiver, you could throw in maybe a flex running back and a wide receiver too, and get Tony Pollard possibly, depending. And that's the thing; it depends on what the team
where
is
they were taken.
Yeah,
that and like where you took him. So you took Ayuk later in like probably 7th round, somewhere around there, if I'm not mistaken. So you should have maybe 2 or 3 really good receivers ahead of him. So if you can trade Ayuk and get, a
Saquon Barkley,
if you can get a top tier running back, like,
that's what you're gonna
if you have the receivers, like, that's the thing, like, what's your team's makeup and stuff like that? Because Ayuk's a later round pick. He blew up. Again, it's probably his highest value it's going to be. And if you can go get a stud running back, like, it might be worth it.
100%.
But back to Tony Pollard. Now I have him in a bunch of redraft leagues as well. He was my number 2 coming into the season. I don't know what you would have to give up to get him. It would have to be a massive, massive package for me to move on from Tony Pollard. Yeah. Like, would you give up it'd have to be like a number 1 wide receiver. And
but with how leagues are now, like, let's say if you drafted Tony Pollard in a lot of these leagues, let's say it's a 12 or 14 team league, you got Tony Pollard, like depending how, the next 2 rounds of your draft went or what your first pick was. I mean, I don't know where you got Pollard, but he could go end of first, mid second, like just depending.
That's where he's going.
So
like I usually got him at the end of the 1-2 turn.
Right, you're getting him around there. If you get him if you're taking him in the first round, you're going to ask a lot more. But if you got him in the second round and you got like somebody like Devontae Adams or like a Travis Kelce in the first round, like it might change things.
Say Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's a good one, right?
You might want a receiver, and if somebody's throwing out, depending on who you are, but if somebody's throwing out, hey, I have, this guy is possibly maybe a DK Metcalf and a James Cook, depending on how you value it.
That's a good package.
You know what I'm saying? Like that could be enough to sway you. And for me, I would be willing to do that. It's all in how confident you think you are in, evaluating players. But for me, I have better luck picking wide receivers out of the waiver wire than I do running backs. Mm-hmm. So if I could trade for a really good running back, like I'll figure out the wide receivers the rest of the year if I need to do a plug and play in the flex.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't hate the thought process of it because I'm with you. I think I don't see any reason why he can't finish RB1 overall.
Yeah, it could happen.
He's that good.
Right.
And then my guy that I'm going to buy right now, if I can, is James Cook. 6 targets, which is that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see him involved in the pass game. 12 rushes. He was in there in 60% of the snaps. He didn't have the greatest numbers, but let's be honest, like the offense wasn't moving the ball that well. This Jets defense could possibly be one of the best in the league. Like they were all over the place. They looked great.
Right.
It's going to be, it was tough for the Bills to do anything against this defense. James Cook being in there on 60% of snaps, I think he's going to be the bell cow back there. I'm all in on him. I'm willing to give up. It depends, right?
Would you give up a wide receiver 1 for him?
No.
Wide receiver 2?
I'd give up a wide receiver 2. Like, I'd give up Monty, and like if I could give Monty and like a mid, like a Nico Collins.
See, I wouldn't do that.
I would do that. I would do Monty and like Nico for him.
Yeah, I'm not sold on James Cook yet. I get that he's getting the targets, he's probably gonna get the touches, but doesn't look great. To be honest, the Bills might have an off year. Josh Allen.
They could.
That's
Allen. That's a question, right?
Those are things where, like, we were bringing up near the end of last year where I still have Josh Allen ranked high based off of, he's got to be putting up those scrambling numbers and he's got to get those goal line touchdowns. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't this guy might lead the league in interceptions this year. And he looked like it the last few games of last year that he was forcing some really bad passes.
Yeah. Joey, I'll trade you anytime you want, buddy. Come and knocking. come and knocking. And Willie. I sent Willie a message today. I'm trying to get some James Cook on my squads.
Sell him.
I think he's gonna have a really good season. And Willie. If Josh Allen's struggling, I think that only helps James Cook. Like I'm fine with that.
It doesn't sell him.
I think it does. Give me another guy, Alex.
That I'm buying, that I would like to try to trade for is Mike Evans. I think you can still get a deal for him. People are still doubting him, thinking that the 1,000-yard season's not going to happen. He's still going to get red zone targets. The Bucs defense isn't phenomenal. The run game is atrocious. They're going to be throwing the ball. Baker didn't even look great last game, but who's going to get targeted? Mike Evans.
Yeah, the only worry I have is I get it. It was better than what I expected from this Bucs offense. The only worry I have is how bad is Minnesota Vikings defense? Because I think they're going to be really bad this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it gets better from what we saw for Evans. But if you can go get him cheap, like, why not? I would throw a flyer.
You're going to get a deal. You're gonna get a deal for him.
I don't hate it. My other buy here is T. Higgins. He put up a goose egg. Didn't look good. The whole offense looked miserable. Again, I talked earlier about how much I like the Browns defense. I think that was a big factor. And I think that weather, from all the reports coming out, obviously I'm a Browns fan. I'm here in Cleveland. I look at all the beat reporters and everything, and everyone said how bad the weather was. It was a terrible game for everybody involved. Joe Burrow admittedly said he couldn't really grip the ball. He put a glove on at one point and still couldn't throw the ball. But the good thing that I saw here was he got 8 targets and Chase got 9. So if they're going to split targets like as much as that, I'm in on T. I think there's a lot better days ahead. Joe Burrow, he didn't really play that much in the preseason. He didn't look good. I think he'll get back to form. And if he gets back to form,
they always look bad in the first 4 games.
That's another good point. Like, I just think even though T got 0, like for me, that's why I'm trying to trade for him, because I think you can get him at a bargain right now. And then he'll take a step forward moving down the season.
I think if you can get him for a bargain, then he's worth it. But I feel, I'll be honest, I feel like guys who draft T they're just it's like a Mario. Like, I think he's going to finish top 10 with Jamar Chase, or they're Bengals fans.
I think you had that with like every player though. Like
I don't see T's. Here's the thing. I think most people who are T fans have done enough of watching how the Bengals start off in the season. It was a terrible game. I don't expect a 0-point game again, but with T, there's always risks. Jamar Chase can get hot. I don't know if that bargain exists, and if it does, what I would be willing to give up for it.
Yeah. So I think with T, if I'm trying to trade for him, I'm trying to do like a 2 for 2. Something like that.
Yeah,
where
I think I can straight up. That's not.
Yeah, I think I can sneak something, right? Like, I think I could sneak T in there just because he had an off game, where I'd give up like a Devontae Smith and say, let's go with Monty again. Like a Devontae Smith and a Monty for T. Higgins and like maybe James Cook. Like
I'll
something,
honest, like
a package
I
like
realistically think that would be very tough. I think it would be really hard for somebody who's T. Higgins and James Cook to give him up for Monty, who we don't know what's going to happen with him if we're going further.
Okay, how about...
Like, it's going to be tough.
I get that.
Oh, here's Albert has a good one. You want to click it up?
Okay, yeah. Ayuk for Higgins straight up.
What I do, Ayuk for Higgins, me personally, yes. I would trade Ayuk for Higgins.
Okay.
I do not think Brock Purdy's going to throw over 4,500 yards.
Would you trade? Yeah. Would you trade Devontae straight up?
Devontae Smith for T. Higgins? Yes.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yes.
I think you could do that right now.
I don't know.
With that game, I really think you could trade Devontae Smith for T.
If you have somebody in your league who likes being taken advantage of, this is the time.
I think it's realistic. I think it is. But, Alex, give me a guy that you were actively trying to sell right now if you can.
Rashad White.
What are you getting for Rashad White?
He still gets touches. There are people who
value touches.
Went super wide receiver heavy and got running backs who aren't going to be, performing, or they haven't performed. Like, there might be some homers out there who have Khalil Herbert like me, where you're ready to completely bail and it doesn't look good. And you're looking at it like, hey, at least Rashad White's going to be the bell cow, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Tucker is going to, I'm not worried about it yet, but I think if you can get something decent, I mean, if you could get like honestly, if you could get a solid flex wide receiver or wide receiver 3, I mean, if you can really get somebody for a wide receiver 2, I'd do it.
Give me a name like Zay Jones.
No, I wouldn't trade Rashad White for Zay Jones yet.
I would say Nico.
I would do that. I would trade Rashad White for Nico.
Yeah, I think I would too. Like, I think Nico's
really would.
gonna. Yeah, it's interesting. Elijah Moore.
No. DPJ still looks better.
We'll see. We'll see. Okay, one of my cells, Alexander Madison, kind of in the same vein as Rashad White there. Brutal day, saved by a receiving touchdown, so his points didn't look as bad as the game really was. The Vikings are already talking about maybe trading for JT when he becomes available. I don't think they're sold on him, and by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the bell cow back there, which is why I'm trying to trade for him. And I think I'm in line with you. It'd be something along those lines of Alexander Madison for like a flex option, wide receiver. I would probably trade him for Monty straight up. Is where I'm at.
Yeah, I probably
or
would.
Algier.
For sure. Monty. Here's the thing with Madison is he's always done enough in pass blocking, receiving out of the backfield, and running to where fantasy-wise, that's what you're seeing. Hey, this guy has put up numbers fantasy-wise when Dalvin Cook was out. If you really look at his stats, he is not an effective runner, and he hasn't really been ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. So it's like you're expecting that in an offense where Dalvin Cook could run 5 yards per carry, Madison was running 4 yards per carry. Like he's never been a burst runner. He's just done enough. He's secured the football. He'll catch, he'll block. He keeps you fantasy relevant. But if you watch him play the last few years, he's not that great.
No, he's not. He's not. And I just the hype coming into the season, and now he's the bell cow back there. I think you can still get something for him.
Yeah.
But after watching that game, I'm just not.
Can't be excited. You're just praying for touches. That's all you're praying.
You're praying for a touchdown. Is what you're praying for.
Yeah.
And when you have that, it's not a great situation.
No.
All right, give me another sell, Alex.
Sorry. This is your boy. And he's been like your sun god the last few years. You're praising him like he actually is Amon St. Brown. But DJ Moore. Oh, no. He knew it was coming. And I hate it. And I've been beating it down to where I'm like, I don't know if he's even that great. And guess what? He could be, and you're never going to find out. Ever.
I think you're right. At this
You're never
point,
going to find out. Like,
I want to see this week.
Yeah.
I really want to see this week.
They have to. I get it. If you're the Bears, if you want a running game, two things need to happen. Fields needs to just run more and design QB sneaks and just rollouts. And you need to find DJ Moore at all costs.
Yeah.
You can't open up if you have a bad offensive line, if you think you're going to just be able to drop back and be able to go through 2 reads or 3 reads, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, that again, this is what we talked about all off season, and we've texted about it and stuff like that. My only concern for DJ Moore was the offensive line. Can the offensive line hold up to protect Justin Fields where he can sit there and throw the ball? Week 1, no. Like, as of now, no. They can't do it. They need to figure the offensive line out.
Luckily, the Vikings are in their division.
Yeah, so I don't know. It hurts. It hurts my soul because I think DJ, if he had a competent quarterback and competent offensive line play, I think he'd be awesome. But he just hasn't had it his whole career. It's brutal to watch because I think he's really good.
You know who I want to slide into somebody I would probably buy is Mooney.
Darnell.
Yeah.
He had a great game.
I think he's gonna end up being the dump off king and a bad offense.
It's just weird. It was a weird game to watch and how everything played itself out. I think Fields threw the ball like almost 40 times. 3 balls were over 10 yards. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's an Atlanta situation where I'm just like pounding my head against the table trying to figure out what this
The
coaching
difference
staff
is
doing.
Ritter was drastically more efficient.
Efficient. Again, it was. I think it was a ton of screens and dump offs and stuff like that, but they were designed plays for that, and that's why it worked. Like you have to design plays to get the ball.
The Bears think every Justin Fields fan wants to hear that the Bears are this year's Eagles, and they're not.
They look good, Tiff. I don't know if it's because of the defense or how bad that Bears offense is, but they look good. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for that whole team, man. Green Bay looked awesome, and they were missing their best weapon on offense.
I'm really excited to see Christian Watson with Jordan Love.
It's gonna be fun.
I want to see it, and it's gonna be. It's honestly that's like sneaky. That's probably one of my favorite divisions to watch this year.
Yeah, I always love watching that division. I just think it's
love watching the Lions.
Yeah.
Green Bay. Vikings are fun because they're always in chaos at the end of the game. Like, those are games you want to watch.
Yeah. The chaos division. I think I think it's going to be a fun one this year. And after watching week 1, dude, wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay takes it.
Yeah. It's going to be the Lions, but sure.
We'll see. That'll be a good game. Green Bay, Detroit. Whenever that is, I'm excited to watch it. I'll give you my last sell for the week. It's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. Might be a little harder after the news that came out that he's hurt. But I am trying to trade him. He had a ton of targets. I think he had 13 targets. He had a decent game, around 12 points-ish, 12 to 13 points in PPR. Now, I watched every snap of this game. It was one of, if not the worst quarterback performances that I have ever seen in my, I'm not talking it was just a bad quarterback game. It was Ryan Tannehill doesn't deserve to be in the NFL with how that
I've been saying this for how long? Arguing with Mario? Talking about how he's literally trash.
Now, you said that. I agree with you. And
he's trash.
I agree. But I don't think he's ever looked like that. It looked...
It's getting worse and worse.
It looked like he was in his... The ball, when he threw it, it looked like it was in slow motion in the air. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. There's two options for this Tennessee offense. They're either going to roll with Ryan Tannehill the rest of the year, where DeAndre Hopkins will get 40 to 50 yards a game. You're banking on a touchdown, and maybe he'll get... and if he keeps playing how he's playing, Tannehill, there's no way they're going to let him throw the ball as much as they did in week 1. So those numbers are going to come down.
There's no way he's starting if he's playing like this 4 games.
100%. Those numbers are so they're either going to roll with Tannehill, and it's not going to be great, or they're going to either put in Malik Willis or Will Levis.
Malik Willis is going to
I think Willis would be the first guy up. They're not going to want to throw Levis in.
Nope.
As a rookie, so it'd be Willis, which is a running quarterback, and we don't know. We're not going to know what to expect of it. He could be just... I don't think he's going to be as bad as Tannehill, but he might not be throwing the ball a lot. Might be a lot more run-heavy offense that, again, they threw the ball like 35 times this game. Hopkins had 13 targets, and he got 12 points. Like, if that's the ceiling for what, it's going to be close to the ceiling if Tannehill's in there, and if he's not, I don't see those numbers staying, the target share staying where it's at. So if I can sell DeAndre Hopkins, now I'm trying to do it, and hopefully I can get.
I would love.
He still has name value. He still has name value. What would you give up for him?
I don't know. You're selling him. What would you want for him? If you're selling DeAndre Hopkins, what are you realistically looking for?
It's a great question. It really is, because in redraft you probably took him.
Not super high.
Where was he going? Like 6th, 7th round?
I would say 7th round at the earliest.
Yeah, I would say 6th or 7th round. I'd be looking to get
Zay Jones.
No, I don't think I would do that. Just because, again, I think you want, like, who would I rather have right now on my team? Probably Zay. But that doesn't mean I'm going to make that trade because I think I can get more for DeAndre Hopkins than that. Just a name value alone, I think somebody in your league you can get to trade for him just based off his name.
It just depends, and that's the thing. Like, he's older, he's on a bad offense.
But talking for like redraft purposes, not everyone's as involved as like we are, right? Not everyone's as like nuts about this shit as we are. But if they see like, hey, I'll trade you DeAndre Hopkins, what do you got for me? Like, you might be able to come.
Would you take Mike Williams?
Ooh, straight up, Mike Williams.
Yeah, Mike Williams straight up.
Yeah.
Okay. If I have Mike Williams, he's probably my wide receiver 2 or flex.
Yeah.
In that position, in my opinion, I am trading for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think Burks is anything. I think Willis ends up getting a chance. I think that last 2 or 3 games. And Willis will either get hurt or look just as terrible as he did when he had his starts last season. And Will Levis is going to be the quarterback at half point. And when that happens, they're going to sling the ball. He's worth keeping. He's a guy that has a second half of the season that blows up.
It's an interesting take. Happens. Yeah, okay. So I think me and you are both on the same page, though, where we hate Hopkins with Tannehill.
100%. You hate him with Willis.
You don't like him with Willis.
Nope. You hate him more with Willis.
And you have to, you have to decide if you're willing to roll the dice with Hopkins with a rookie quarterback coming in there. Because, again, like the numbers for a rookie quarterback coming in supporting a top 24 wide receiver are not good historically.
Right.
So with that, I would trade him if I can. Because, again, I just don't see a path for him being a top 24 wide receiver with the quarterbacks on this roster.
I would take the risk if it were me.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not a risk I'm willing to take. But I wish we were in a redraft because I'd trade you DeAndre Hopkins if I could.
I'd do it, man. It's risky, but to me, man, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
That's why, like, your trade for Mike Williams, that's one where I'm like, yeah, I would do that because I think he's got a higher ceiling than Hopkins to me.
I agree.
Yeah, Justin that's where I'm like, fuck
quarterback.
Like,
yeah, right. I think he does have a higher. I think he's got a higher. I think he's got a higher floor.
Hopkins.
I would say Hopkins has a higher floor. Williams has a higher ceiling. I think Hopkins
that's
at
fair.
Tennessee doesn't have any competition.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good way to put it. But if I can afford to get rid of Hopkins and I can get Mike Will,
him the ball. Oh my God, your boy.
If I
Joe.
can get Mike Will, like I would do that in a heartbeat.
He threw over 300 yards against a top 5 defense from last year. Reminder. He was QB2. QB2 this week.
Let's see how the rest of the season plays itself out.
I'm not. And hey, Rob, you've heard me. I've never said Mac Jones was a top 15 QB.
You're right.
Didn't say it. But if you're trying to compare him to Ryan Tannehill, that's like comparing Usain Bolt to Stephen Hawking. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I would much rather have DeAndre Hopkins with Mac Jones.
100%.
Even though Rex Ryan's been talking a ton of smack on him still.
Who, Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Well, he also got a Mark Sanchez tattoo. So
did he?
You said Rex Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got a Mark Sanchez tattoo on his calf when they got Mark Sanchez.
That's real love.
In his mind, Mark Sanchez was probably still better than Mac Jones.
This is true.
That's what Alex, a lot of donuts will do.
Any other players you want to mention before we get out of here?
I mean, I don't like buying and selling. That's really tough.
It is.
Tight ends,
week 1.
I'll be honest. This is going to be another year where tight ends are just going to be shit. So if you could get Kelsey, Mark Andrews.
Go ahead.
What do you mean? If
Say
you're going
it.
to say TJ Hawkinson,
No.
who?
The Great White Knight, Luke Musgrave.
Well, I mean, that's not like a real conversation piece, but like it really is. That's, I think,
He's going up my rankings.
yeah, I get that.
Top 5.
It's outside of the top 4 this year, it's going to be another poop fest.
Unfortunately, I think you're right.
Because you have guys like Kyle Pitts that people definitely drafted high, and guys like me who took Darren Waller higher than he should have gone because you're just but then you're literally looking at it to where tight ends are just getting overlooked by running backs and wide receivers. What's this A-Kane with Mostert and Wilson?
I would avoid. If you can avoid playing him, I would.
Dude, I've been on the train of I don't want a Miami running back.
Yeah.
If you have to start one of them, God bless you.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think I would do it if I had other options. You know
what's going to be worse is when you have A-Chain, Mostert, and Wilson healthy. Have fun with that rodeo.
Well, I think he's just saying since Mostert and Wilson are hurt this week, would you play A-Chain?
No.
I don't think I would. If I can avoid it, I would.
You know who Tua's going to throw to? The 2 fastest fuckers on the planet.
There he is. Make sure you're here Sunday to talk about it, Willie. Throw that in on Sunday. Speaking of that, we will be back tomorrow. Me and Mario are hopping on with a special guest, Mr. Corey Easterday. He's one of our favorite people. We are talking our DFS lineups for the weekend and must-start sits. So we'll do that tomorrow, and then me and Norton will be here Sunday at noon. We're going to be doing live start sit questions, so be here for that. If you have any last minute questions, make sure you're here, throw them into us, and we will get to them on air right before the kickoff. Alex, before that, anything else you want to throw out there?
Get that Nico Collins stock. You won't regret it.
He says get Nico. I say get Luke Musgrave.
You know what? I don't think you getting Luke Musgrave for the price you can get him for is a bad decision. I'll say that.
There he is. He's coming around.
There's worse things you could do.
Hey, he's slowly coming around to the Luke Musgrave. By midway, he'll be saying he's the top 5. I promise you that. I will get him on the train.
No.
For Alex, I'm Rob. Peace.
Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and not our calories.